So here are all I need. I have my scissors, my pins, my marking tools, my pattern. I have this beautiful scrap fabric I'll be using for the main pattern, that is the bustier. I have my lining and my fleece interfacing. So make sure that your fabric is enough, so you would add an allowance that you might use to, if you're going to attach this bustier top to a peplum or a skirt, that is to turn into a gown. Make sure that you leave a joining allowance here. Remember that. So once you place, make sure we already have allowances, so there's no need for us having any space here to put any allowance. Make sure you have space here so that you add your sewing allowance on this side, and also facing allowance on this side. On this part, that is this side, you're going to leave an allowance so that you use to join with your lining or whatever you want to use to turn over. I went ahead to pin the pattern to the fabric to hold in place. So I went ahead to trace to make my tracings. You could actually use a chalk. I wouldn't advise you to use a marker though, but I'm going to be sewing on this line I just made, so it wouldn't be shown out, it wouldn't be seen outside. Right, so I'll go ahead to mark my sewing allowance of half an inch. So I'm going to mark half an inch round this whole pattern that I placed on the fabric. That I made a notch. This will serve as a guideline for me to match the fabric and get the exact thing I drafted while sewing. I've done to the other two pieces for the front. I'll do same to the back, to the side back. I'll pin, mark my sewing allowance on the dart area too. Recall that I didn't add, while drafting the pattern, I didn't add a zipper allowance or an opening allowance. So that is what I am adding on the fabric, and I am using 1.25 inches. You could use 2 inches or whatever you want to use. So that is what I am marking. Now I need to get the measurement to cut the interfacing. So first of all, from the side I marked 4, that is on the side front I marked 4 inches, and from the center front I'm going to measure whatever I have from the start to where I just marked 4. So what I have here times 2, because this is based on 4, so times 2 of it is the length I am going to be cutting on the interfacing. I'm using this fleece material which we popularly call wadding. Alright, so I'm going to mark what I got times 2, so no need of adding any allowance because you're not sewing on it. Alright, so I just marked, and then I'm going to mark from the start of the bustier to the under bust, and whatever length I get is what I'm going to mark as a length of the fleece. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm sorry I didn't tilt the camera rightly to film this part. I'm sorry about that. So I folded my interfacing, and then I placed my fabric on it, and then I began to pin. You can see I measured, and what I have left is 4 inches, exactly that same 4 inches I marked at the start. So I'll simply place this other part on the interfacing, and then I'll also pin as I did to the front. to the center front rather. So I'll go ahead to mark the exact length I want for this. By from that point I notched from the under bust, I folded it, as you can see I folded it, and then I'll begin to mark. That is the part where I'll start to cut this interfacing from. I hope you get. So I begin to trace from that point. Remember I left this little allowance here for folding the facing itself. So now while I want to cut the interfacing, I'm going to fold it in and then make my mark, because we wouldn't want the interfacing to start from the edge. So instead, that's where our lining, that is the facing, is going to be. So I marked the point where I'm going to notch, right? I went ahead to do same for the side front. From the notch I made for the under bust, I raised it up a bit and marked a straight and made a straight line, because that is where I wanted to start from. I also traced, as I traced the center front, trace it up, and just as I did to the other part, I'm also going to fold in this place, because as I said, this place is where we're going to put the facing, that is the lining, the allowance for joining the lining. So I'm going to fold it and mark under it. Alright, I went ahead to cut. As you cut, make sure you transfer the notches you made already. I made a notch on the bust point, so I'm going to transfer that notch to the interfacing, the wording, then I'll keep on cutting. So I'm going to raise here up a bit and cut through the place I marked. And then I marked an arrow showing the direction of where it starts from, that is the up part, so to make things easy for me while I'm working with it. Failed to mention that I cut this fleece front side facing front side, that is the shiny part facing the two shiny parts facing each other, before I cut.